Hey there, Barnwell folks, and welcome to another cooking segment with Clemson SNAP-ED. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Alright guys, so today what we're going to be doing is essentially our garlic parmesan crusted chicken, as well as our cheesy noodles, okay? And so we're going to be making this from scratch on the stovetop. It's going to be simple, quick, easy, and a great way to get in a nice filling meal without having to spend 2, 3, 4 hours in the kitchen. Alright, so let's get started. First things first is we want to go ahead and prepare our base for our chicken. Okay, now we're using lean meats. All right, so lean chicken breast, not a whole lot of fat, but still a whole lot of flavor. Now, of course, we're going to go ahead and mince our garlic just like the last time. We're going to go ahead and get these peels off of our garlic. Oh, looks like there's still one more in there. There it goes. All right. And voila. Let's go ahead and set these guys to the side. And then we're going to go ahead and mince this, and I'm going to find a knife. Alright, so now we're just going to go ahead and mince up that garlic. And again, mincing is just a fancy way of saying cut it into really teeny tiny pieces. Right, and that's fresh garlic. You can use garlic powder, but obviously garlic powder isn't as fresh as fresh garlic. So you're going to need to use maybe half a teaspoon or so of garlic powder to really get that punch. Really just depends on how much garlic you enjoy tasting. If you're not a huge fan, 1/4 teaspoon should be enough. If you're a huge fan, then half a teaspoon. That's really going to give you that garlicky punch. And again, this is just going to be the base for our chicken breast. So we're going to have our olive oil as well as our fresh garlic nice and minced up and mixed together. So once we get through cutting up our chicken breast, we're just going to lay it in the oil, get it ready, and then we'll do our breadcrumb parmesan mix with our herbs like basil, and then as well as black pepper. And then we're going to lay that out on a nice pan, let that bake for about 30 minutes. And then in the meantime, we'll do our cheesy noodles that we're going to throw just underneath our Parmesan chicken, our garlic Parmesan crusted chicken, yes. All right, so now that we've got that garlic nice and minced up, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in my bowl here. Make sure I don't use the sharp side of this blade to do that. All right. So I'm going to go and toss that to the side. And then I'm going to get my 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's 1. And remember, you don't have to pour everything directly over the bowl if you don't have a steady hand. You can have a bowl to the side, pour it in, and then add it to whatever you need to. That way any excess that kind of spills over doesn't get into your main bowl. All right. So there's 2 of those. And I have a pot boiling in the background, just preparing my noodles for us. All right, give that a little swish. Now we have that going on. And that is ready for our chicken breast. So we're going to go ahead and cut up our chicken breast, all right? And I want to emphasize that some chicken breasts, when you get them from the grocery store, come a little thick. in certain areas. And so what we want to do is we want to slice this breast in half, remove some of the excess fat, and we want to slice this breast in half so that we can create a nice flat, even surface. A, that's going to make it easier for our breadcrumbs to stick to, and B, it's going to cook at the same rate all the way through. And so we want to go ahead and do that. We don't want just one giant chicken breast. Okay. All right. Go ahead and make sure this one has all the excess trimmings removed from it. Nice, even, flat surface. Get rid of some of this. All right, so we've gone ahead and done that. And of course we have our nice flat breast. Now we've gone ahead and gotten that chicken cut up, but of course we have to make our Parmesan bread mixture, all right? Now that's essentially going to call for breadcrumbs. And they can be plain breadcrumbs, Italian breadcrumbs. Just always remember to read that nutrition label so that you're not intaking too much sodium, all right? But it's going to be about a cup of breadcrumbs, 2/3 cup of Parmesan cheese, freshly grated or store-bought, completely up to you. And then 1 teaspoon of dried basil leaves, 1 teaspoon, and then 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And when that's all mixed up, we're going to have a nice, perfect little blend of breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese for us to dip our chicken breast in. So let's get to it. So the first thing, of course, we're going to do is dip our chicken into the garlic and olive oil mixture, all right? And again, that was minced garlic. It was just 1 clove that we minced up. Okay, shake off some of that excess. And then we're going to dip it into our breadcrumbs. And we want to make sure that we press down just a little bit to make sure that we get enough of the crust on there. And you want to make sure that you get the sides of the chicken breast covered as well. And again, we went ahead and filleted or sliced into thin pieces so that they can cook evenly and that they can cook at the same rate. So we're not going to have one big chunk of chicken and then a very small sliver of chicken. It's all going to be the same. And again, we just want to press down in there and make sure that chicken breast gets nice and covered. All right. And of course, once we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and get onto our cheesy noodles, and we'll be making that cheesy sauce from scratch, of course. So that way you can control how much salt you put in there and the different seasonings. Now, for our cheesy noodles that we're going to do today, we're not going to add too much to it. It's just going to be cheese, a little bit of black pepper. But for the most part, it's still going to be good. And of course, we're going to lay our chicken breast right on top of that bad boy. And so we got that nice and breaded. I'm going to lay that out on my plate. Let that rest. Let it rest. And then we're going to take our second chicken breast and dip it in that garlic and olive oil mixture. All right, get that nice and lathered up. All right, make sure to get also that excess so it's not dripping everywhere when you move it. And then lay it in that Parmesan and bread crust mixture. Make sure to press firmly and to get the breadcrumbs on the edges of the chicken because you don't want bare edges. Press it down firmly. And again, remember to let it rest. Give it a couple minutes. Otherwise, all those breadcrumbs are just going to fall off. Same thing with fried chicken. But that's another meal for another day. Alright, pressing it firmly, making sure we get all the edges nice and covered. And again, that olive oil is going to help this brown up really, really well. Alright. And if I can show you really quick, That is one well-breaded piece of chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this down and let it rest. All right. We're just going to go ahead and remove my gloves here. I like using gloves because it allows me to jump over to different things in the kitchen if there's an emergency, say maybe a pot's boiling over and I'm just too busy talking to notice. But there we go. So we'll let those rest, and we're going to start transferring over to our stove area to go ahead and put the chicken breast in at 350 for 30 minutes, and then of course get our cheesy noodles done. So let's do that. All right, so now that our chicken is in the oven again at 350 for about 30 minutes, that's gonna go ahead and brown up. We're gonna start smelling, well, I'm gonna start smelling that delicious breadcrumbs, garlic, Parmesan, all of that good stuff. Even that sweet basil is gonna start to come through. So we're gonna go ahead and again, get our noodles going. So I had our pot of water going in the background. I'm just gonna crack these up. You can use any noodles you want for this recipe, all right? They can be elbow macaroni, they can be our spaghetti noodles that I'm using here. One of the things that I enjoy the most about this recipe is that really, it's a throw in what you have kind of deal. So it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be, you know, exact amount of Parmesan or the exact amount of noodles or things of that nature. If you have some leftover, let's say you have some leftover meatloaf, you can cut up some meatloaf and do it. If you have some leftover vegetables, you can cut up those vegetables and do it. It's really up to you. So I love it. Now we've gone ahead and got our noodles onto the stove. Now we're going to go ahead and start setting up our roux. Now a roux is just a mixture of butter and flour, and it is just the base for any type of sauce. More so for gravies, but for this one we're going to be using it to make our macaroni and cheese, all right? So our cheesy noodles in this case. Now I need about a tablespoon and a half of unsalted butter, because again, we're controlling how much butter we put into this, all right? We're not letting anyone else dictate that for us. We're controlling how much salt we put in this. So again, 1.5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and we're just gonna go ahead and let that melt. All right, so we've gone ahead and got our butter nice and melted in that pot, all right? So the next thing we're gonna do is I'm just gonna move that off the stove really quick because I don't wanna burn that butter. I'm gonna go ahead and get 2 tablespoons of our all-purpose flour, because remember, we're setting this up to make a sauce, all right? So just like you would with any gravy, you're gonna go ahead and get the fat melted, the fat being that butter, and then you're going to go ahead and add a thickener, which would be that flour. Setting up the base. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So that's 1 tablespoon. All right. And then another tablespoon. Squeeze it out of there. All right, getting that out of my way. All right, so now we have our flour in there, and we're just gonna go ahead and stir that up. And remember to keep your eye on it. This isn't the type of thing you wanna just leave sitting on the stove. This will burn. It will burn very easily, all right? So we went ahead and mixed that up. Now I need 1.5 cups of non-fat milk. Now I personally prefer an almond milk, but you can use 2%, 1%, skim milk. So long as it is a non-fat milk, you're on the right track. So 1.5 cups of milk. And I'll take the opportunity to show you this. So as you can see, got a nice thick paste going on there. That's what's going to set up the base for our sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1 cup of milk. Give that a nice stir to combine those ingredients. And again, that flour acts as a thickener. ahead, I'm gonna multitask a little here. Mix up those noodles just a little bit, make sure they're cooking evenly. Because they are just bubbling. Alright. We are almost there with those noodles. Alright. Sauce going strong. Now I'm gonna add in that half a cup now. Alright. So 1.5 cups of non-fat milk. That has been added in there. And go ahead and throw that back in my dish. Alright, now we're going to give this a nice stir, continuing to do that, making sure it does not burn. Again, this is not the type of thing you want to just leave on the stove. It will burn. Alright everyone, so as you can see, I kind of switched our roux to a different pan because I figured it'd be a little bit easier for you to see it this way. And so we've got a nice creamy base going, alright? And that's how thick you want that bad boy to be. Now, this recipe can be found on the website of our amazing partners, cookingmatters.org. And again, this is just a fun, quick fix, easy recipe for you all to do. And remember to follow those directions, all right? Follow them the first time, and then when you're ready to be a little recipe pirate and do your own thing, then definitely do that. All right, so we got our base going. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our cheese. Now you can do freshly grated mozzarella cheese as the recipe calls for. I have got some white cheddar cheese that I am super excited to use today. So we're going to go ahead and throw that in there and get that nice and melted down. Snatch that off the stove just quick, just really quick, so it doesn't overcook on us. Because again, this is very quick to burn. Very quick to burn. All right, so I got some nice cheese that I'm gonna add in there. You can use cheddar cheese, sharp, mild. You can use mozzarella. I'm gonna be using my white cheddar here because I'm so excited to really taste that and to see what that's gonna be like. There we go. All right, everyone, so I've got a nice ooey gooey cheese sauce going on here, and that's really what we want. Now, of course, we don't just want just a plain old cheese sauce. We're gonna go ahead and add just a wee bit of salt and pepper into this just to boost that flavor up. Again, you can add different herbs and spices if you are just not into adding, black pepper, salt. Again, we're keeping it simple today. So we're just gonna add half a teaspoon of black pepper. Sprinkle that in there. And then about half a teaspoon of salt, all right? All right, and then we're gonna sprinkle that on in there. And now I'm just gonna give that a nice little mix in there. Our ooey gooey cheese mix. Now, as you can see, I'm kind of holding this up a little bit because I really don't want this to burn. This is a very light sauce. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn the stove down so we can add in our noodles. Nice ooey gooey cheesy sauce. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add in our noodles, which I've gone ahead and taken off the stove and drained in my strainer. If you don't have a strainer, feel free to use some oven mitts and, well, I won't tell you that. I'll edit that out later. That's not the right people to do things they shouldn't do. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my noodles in there, get that nice and turned over in that sauce. Super cheesy goodness. And you can add a little bit of cream cheese to add a little richness and a smoother texture. But voila, she's done. Super creamy, cheesy noodles. And it sounds like our chicken's ready, so I'll go ahead and grab that out the oven. All right, everyone, so we are here with the finished product now, and I have our crusted Parmesan chicken. See if we can get that on screen. Crusted Parmesan chicken with our fresh parsley covered cheesy noodles. So white cheddar cheesy noodles. So super yummy, super delicious. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab a knife and fork from somewhere and dig into this because of course you know I can't make a dish for you without trying it on screen to let you know just how good it is. So 1 second. All right, here we are. Moment of truth. All right, so we're gonna cut into that chicken breast. Got a nice crunch to it. All right. Get a little bit, I'm right-handed, so of course I have to shift things. And get a little bit of those noodles and some of that chicken breast, and here we go. So listen, first we get the impact from the super cheesy cheddary noodles. They are sweet because of that cheese. They have a nice buttery, warm taste to them. They're cheesy, ooey gooey, perfect. And then of course we have that crunch from the breadcrumbs, so that adds a completely different texture. Of course we have the garlic from that olive oil and the garlic that we had in there, so that's another added punch. And then right beneath there we have a bit of that sweetness from that basil as well. So we have the buttery warmth of the cheesy noodles with that white cheddar. Again, you can use mozzarella, sharp, mild cheddar cheese, whichever cheese that you like. Of course we recommend the mozzarella because if you make it with skim milk, it's a little healthier for you and because it has less fat. So essentially, we have the crunch from that chicken and the pow from the garlic, the basil, all that good stuff, and that black pepper just kind of sits subtly in there as well. So I do truly, truly do hope that you try this meal and that you enjoy it. And I will see you in the next video when we make another quick and easy fix meal with Clemson SNAP Education in partnership with Generations Unlimited. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.